Hey team, you're watching Hide&sneaks and March is almost around the corner. So let's get excited for next month's releases and start having a look at them. Now, unlike other sneaker channels that do every single release of the month, I'm focusing on the exciting ones. Starting off with this first one, which releases on March 1st. Feeling sick? Well, it's a great time because it's a retro of the flu games. Now, this is one of those iconic OG colorways that's so associated with Jordan lore. In fact, it's not just associated with Jordan lore, but it's associated with Jordan lore in a particular gaming series. So it's really cool, it's very wearable. This is everything that is good about retro OG sneakers. If you've been waiting for this a while like I have, this is probably one of the best Air Jordan 12s to pick up. Moving over to March 8th. Now we've had a couple pairs like this in the past few years where the base color is a simple pastel and there's some metallic accents often on the lace grounds. If I think back to some examples, I'm taken back to the Jordan 4 Frozen Moments women's pair that released in 2023 that obviously had that sort of grey base with that silver accent colour. Or I look at last year's pair, which was the Jordan 4 Metallic Golds with a bit of a sail base and some gold accent pair. I think it's very clean. I hope they do this in a bigger size, but it's quite a nice pair, it mixes things up. Moving on to March 14th, we have a collaboration on the Air Jordan 4 with Nigel Sylvester. Now, red and orange is not normally a colour scheme that goes together well, but we'll see what happens here in this release. Now, materials do look quite solid, and I'm looking forward to having a discussion more in depth in a proper video later on. But this collaboration pair is a very interesting one. You've got the Nike heel tab on that back being swapped out for the bike ear tab. So it's pretty interesting. We've seen some cool stuff with Nigel Sylvester in that Jordan 4 RM models. So I'm excited to see what this looks like in hand. Moving over to March 14th, if you're a Foamposite lover, you're going to love this one because it's the Nike Foamposite Black Vault. Now, one of the cool things about the Nike Foamposite is they've either got a really good way of helping you build a color wheel by having all these color variations, or they make a really cool statement. And this pair, the Black Vault, does a great job at capturing both. I think it's a more wearable take for a pair of Foamposites, and I think it has just that nice little hint of that 90s sort of interest and excitement. So I think this is quite a cool pair. Releasing a day later on March 15th and taking things away from Nike and Jordan, we have this pair here, the Adidas AE1 Low in the Arctic Night colorway. Now personally, I find this model really exciting, and I think it balances a really good mix between something that's performance focused but still looks kind of futuristic and cool on foot. And this colorway does a fantastic job at building that excitement. Now I need to see it in hand to 100% confirm this, but it almost looks like there's a great sort of two-tone finish on this, and I think that really cool pearlescent purple-green undertone that's really popular on some Japanese import cars in the early 2000s. So I think it's going to capture that note here, and I think it's going to be a really cool pair. Speaking about things cool, releasing on March 15th, it is the Air Jordan 9 Cool Grey Retro Return. Now, if you're a lover of 9s, there's not often a lot of these pairs that release year to year. Now, personally, I do love the Cool Grey 11s a lot more, but I do think this has its place. And in terms of a 9 colorway, I think it's pretty solid. So if you're trying to get your way through the 1 through 14 retros, this is a great one to pick up as your 9. This next pair releasing on March 15th is another edition of Ma Maniere's collaboration with Jordan on the Jordan 3 model. Now we've already had a couple that have come out. The first one, which was so popular and started all this hype behind the Ma Maniére collaborations, was all the way back in 2021. So being 2025, I think it's time for a clean, easy, white-based Jordan 3 collaboration with them. Now what I will say about this one is it's not quite as exciting. You know the material is going to be absolutely amazing, but while I will say this is pretty wearable, I think it's a pretty safe take for Ma Maniére. But definitely still a cool pickup if you haven't got a lot of white Jordan 3 models. Moving over to March 18th, that is the second release of the Nike Jordan 4 SB collaboration. Now, they released the first one a few years back, and that was in that pine green colorway, and it was such a cool take because the switch out on the overall structure of things to make things more suitable for skateboarding actually made this pair a lot more comfortable. Now, it's been rumored there were meant to be 2 releases coming out, and unfortunately one of them is a Friends and Family edition, which is actually the red pair, but this navy pair, which is still pretty wearable and still pretty cool, is coming out. So I think it's an exciting opportunity if you missed out on the last release to pick this up. Materials look really solid, and hey, the Jordan 4 is such a great model, so any opportunity to get more comfortable pairs I think is an absolute win for us as sneakerheads. Moving on to March 22nd, and you know one of the things I really love about a pair and like to talk about is a pair that's got a bit of narrative and storytelling behind it, and that's where sometimes collaborations do such a great job. Now this one is a collaboration with Adidas on their Ultraboost model, and this time they're collaborating with the game Fortnite. Now I'm not a Fortnite person, so I can't really add too much in this conversation, but I do think it's incredibly awesome that they've done a collaboration with this licensing property, because it opens up sneakers to a whole new generation. There's been some really awesome releases picking up on nostalgia recently with the TMNT collection and also Scooby-Doo. And I think this is great because it captures that next generation, kind of gives them something that they can relate to and pulls them into the sneaker culture. And I think that's always a win. Also releasing on March 22nd is another Fortnite collaboration pair. And this is a pair that's going to be talked about a lot, and it's on the Ultraboost model. It's probably pretty hard to see with that shroud, but if you actually peel that back, then you can see underneath that it is that banana inspired. Now apparently there's a character and a skin in there called Peely that's a really big interest piece. I don't know a lot about that. If anyone wants to talk more about that in the comment section below, by all means, please let us know. But this is a really cool collaboration because it's a kind of take on a banana, you peel off the skin, it's got a very interesting, different, lighter colorway underneath. I don't think I'll be going for it, but I definitely want to talk about it. Moving on to this next pair, releasing March 22nd, it is the Jordan 1 Low in the Obsidian colorway. Now the Obsidian High released a couple of years ago and it absolutely exploded all over TikTok during COVID. And they're going through and they're releasing some of the popular high models from the past few years recently, and this is the next one up on the lineup. I think it's a great colorway. Anything UNC vaguely inspired, I think it looks great on shoes. This was such a popular colorway as a high, and we've seen a huge uptake in the love for the lows. So this makes a sensible move on Jordan's part to give us this in that option. Moving over to March 26th, we've got another return of a great iconic 90s retro. Now this is a release that seems to retro every couple of years, and it's not like we've been deprived for too long, but I do think as a sneakerhead in colorway, the Air Max 95 Neon is such a cool colorway to kind of come back in. I love that gradient mix of materials. You move sort of from darker to lighter on the side of the shoe. The Volt accents really work. It's very 90s, it's very cool as a retro, and great to see come back again for sneakerheads to pick out. Well that's it, we've reached the end of the list of the upcoming sneaker releases for March that I wanted to talk to you about. Let me know in the comment section below if there's any that I've missed and you think should be added and talked about. Now if I think about what I'm after, I think my big chases for this month will be probably the Air Jordan 12 Flu Games, just because they're so iconic. And I'm starting to build up my Foamposite collection, so I will be going for those black Volts. But hey, maybe I pick up those SB4s as well. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Until then, see you next time.